Hello, everyone. So, today we have Dr. Jay with us, and today we are going to discuss something really important about the issue on media. The topic's going to be how exactly the media is affecting our current scenario and the environment around us. So, we have Dr. Jay, who is currently a professor in college in Mumbai. So, we have his expert opinion on the issue. So, Dr. Jay, all over to you.
Yeah, Sat Sri Akal to you and hello, namaste, salam to your
Sat Sri
audience as
Akal.
well. Um I'm very much grateful to have this conversation on the navigation of media, especially in our country. And I think it's a very important conversation that we are often missing out to discuss in the prime, etc. And I really appreciate your courage to, muster the hosting on this issue because rarely we have seen any podcast, talking about this. So hats off to you and your initiative and continue to do your good work. And coming to the last part of your question, expert opinion. I don't know what constitutes expert, but I'm sure my expertise would be better than the prime time that we see at 9 o'clock because I'm
Absolutely.
not going to shout and I'm not going to be promoting hatred. So
Mhm.
I think my expertise would be far better. Coming to the understanding of the media ecosystem, there are many parameters to understand and analyze. If you look at the media freedom, lately the rank has collapsed, in terms of
Mm.
uh, quality, in terms of censorship. Around 2014, we were ranking in 130s, around 132 or 135, 36 out of 180 countries. And then it declined with the time, unfortunately. So, media freedom as of now is at 161 out of 180 countries, which is a very sickening sign. Now, why I am directly talking about media freedom? Because media freedom is not just the freedom of the journalist, it
Mhm.
is also the freedom of the citizenry. You know, we have reached a point where we even have to censor our thoughts before expressing them. And it is a
Absolutely.
very dystopian and a very Orwellian environment that we are seeing. Somewhat, I feel that we are in a panoptic system where we are being watched. Our thoughts, our art, our films, even if you check the culture of the films, somewhat is promoting jingoism. It's not
Mhm.
even patriotic, it's hardly jingoism. Even if you check the news channels, they marginalize issues that we should be talking about.
Mhm.
We rarely see conversations on climate change, we rarely see conversations on fraternity, or maybe real social issues or economic issues. If you
Mhm.
check the unemployment rate, it's so high. We are not even talking about the emerging threat of artificial intelligence, etc.
Mhm.
We are not talking about quality of education. We are not talking about any issues that should create pressure on the institutions of ours. What do we see is a systematic attack on certain
Mhm.
section of our institutions, of our minorities, etc. So I think it's a very dangerous trend that we are in. And that's why I said that it really takes a lot of courage to talk about the other side of the coin. And I think through this podcast, we are not trying to change anyone's opinion, although we are all judgmental and having opinions, and that's okay. But considering the mental health impact that these
Mhm.
news are having,
Mhm.
especially even the social media journalism that we see, it is really getting toxic. It is really getting, uh, you know, we are like, I'm not finding a word, but I think it's becoming xenophobic. I
Mhm.
think that's an appropriate term, where we are seeking pride in what we are not even, you know. And if you see the quality of regional journalism, it is at its peak. There was a time where English journalism used to be liberal, but today I hardly find, except the Telegraph headlines or the Statesman or any other news channels like Mirror Now, talking about issues that really matter. They are making staunch attack against the establishment. They are trying to reset the conversations that is happening in our culture as well as society.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you check the farmers' protest, the journalists were not interested in the cause of the farmers' protest. It was simply name calling.
Mm-hmm.
It was simply name shaming. You know. So I think there is a lot to talk about. I have written a lot of blogs that how the fundamental causes of Hindutva, it is not to be mixed with Hinduism, is causing dissonance in our society. Somewhat it is responsible for the degradation of media freedom. Karan,
Okay.
any more inputs from your end would be welcome.
Of course, I mean, I actually second that thought. What you have said about social media as well. I mean, most of it is we are just limiting ourselves on the surface of the issue. We are just talking about what's, we are not talking about whys anymore. We are not digging deep into the issue. That's what I have felt. But I would just want to see your opinion on how you think exactly this media today, be it social media, print media, or even the digital media that we have, news channels and everything, how exactly they are shaping the public opinion over the years.
I do teach journalism,
Mm-hmm.
and I would not be using many jargons because our audience is not full fledged with the learnings of these jargons. But I'll try to decode and deconstruct all these perspectives. See, first thing is looking at the four pillars of our democracy. It's judiciary, executive, legislatory, legislation, and media. The mainstream media is a fourth pillar. Now, if you see any of these pillars corrupted, and if they are not codependent, we see the rise of dictatorship. We have seen the case of Nazi Germany. For those who want to understand that it was media which played a huge role in the rise of dictatorship in Italy, in Germany during the pre-World War II period. This book by Professor Noam Chomsky, Manufacturing Consent,
Mm-hmm.
can be of good help for those who want to understand how media creates public opinion, legitimizes it, misuses its power. There are few important theories like agenda setting theory to understand that media does not report the news. In fact, it tells you what to think about rather than what to think or how to think or why to. Not interested in even in questioning our prime minister.
Mm-hmm.
There is no press conference. That really tells that we are not interested in transparency and accountability. And those are the important spirits to make the democracy function well. So we are seeing that media is becoming a public relation agent of the establishment.
Mm-hmm.
It is trying to become an image, it is becoming an agent of image building exercises for the establishment rather than representing the causes of the citizens. I'm not saying that before 2014 we were living in paradise. You know, we did
Mm-hmm.
experience emergency. We did see how journalists were arrested, censored, even lynched.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to understand that we live in a country which has a very rich history, which has a very diverse tradition.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to not make it a monotonous nation like Saudi Arabia or maybe like North Korea or maybe Soviet Union, we need to understand our own structures, our own culture. We have our own anthropology, we have our own economy,
Mm-hmm.
and media and social media, which is the fifth pillar of democracy, can play a huge role in this. Now, social media individually empowers, it is not like mainstream media where only the reflections of few are represented. In social media, everybody is a journalist. It, in fact, empowers the principles of citizen journalism. And
Mm-hmm.
that is not the case even in mainstream media. Now, if you look at the soft censorship of social media, where a person with any alternate opinion is attacked, they check your profile, they check your caste, they check your religion, they check your gender,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have a whole IT cell coming after you, you know, for expressing your free opinions or so-called openness. You're being attacked. Let it be Twitter, let it be Meta, even Instagram. So It feels unsafe to be on social media these days. I have
Mhm.
left Twitter, I have left Meta for the reasons known. And this is how we are trying to tone down the individuals that who would like their voices to speak.
Mhm.
I I sometimes feel that whether I should feel guilty about my decision or whether we should apologize about it.
Mhm.
It is not just my case. You can take any notable authors or writers, and we don't see many of them making any free opinion or any unbiased opinion for the reasons known. We even have other so called democratic institutions attacking you in
Mhm.
different ways. And there are many case studies in this. And this is why the fall of press freedom is seen in India. Although the right wing establishment is questioning the methodology of this fall, that on what basis this ranking has achieved, we are much freer. But
Mhm.
look at the countries. You compare yourself with the countries which is in South Asia or East Asia, and compare your media parameters with maybe Scandinavian countries or Western liberal nations. You will find a lot of difference in the way the press freedom or the media expression is navigated. Any inputs, Karan? Any
I
further
mean,
questions?
well, definitely. I mean, I would say we have, I mean, you have personally experienced being attacked on social media. I mean, that's why you have left Twitter and Meta. Similar things, I would not say I have personally experienced, but yes, I have been threatened multiple times, I would say, because of the kind of identity I have, because, because of my religion and all that stuff. So, whenever even you try to speak something, whenever even you will try to support someone who's going through injustice, you will get attacked. That's what I have experienced. Maybe I'm not very vocal about all these issues. I have not been very vocal about all these issues. I mean, understandably, I can see that things are going not in the right direction. But unless, I have felt that unless you keep yourself up, first you need to keep yourself intact, only then you can do anything outside your house. So I was like very much engaged in all those things. But I mean, I realized at times when I was trying to, support someone who was going through some kind of injustice, and I'm just trying to voice my opinion for him. Then there are people who would try to shut me down. There are people who would try to, say that, attach some kind of names with me, like, what's going on in the media, like Khalistani and all that stuff. So I mean, that's kind of strange. I mean, even if you call people by names, even if you call them, like, let's say terrorist or anything like that, it doesn't make a person one. But yeah, you might have heard that saying that you keep on lying, you can keep on saying the same like multiple times, and eventually people will start believing it. Similarly, I have seen that not only just on the print media and the media that we have on our news channels, I have seen that on social media as well. The kind of the people whom we used to call our sane voices, those people who have probably left news channels, big news channels, they have also kind of bought into that opinion of, somewhat I would say, bought into the opinion of the government, because even they don't want to be targeted. They also are trying to protect themselves, and they are just after a certain number of followers, they are just maybe just little bit they would say something against the government, but sometimes they will just stand with the government as well. So it's very kind of balancing kind of thing which is going on. People are not just like, yeah, like you mentioned, people are feeling scared, people are like little threatened because about their own lives, about their family lives. So yeah, that's why people would say, okay, just let it be, let it go, let it go. But for how long you can just simply let it go? I mean, there will be a day when it comes on to you, and then you would be like, uh, there would be no one else to help you as well. So I think that's kind of why it's essential for us to talk about it, even though it scares us, even though it kind of threatens us. But someone has to take that initiative, right? I mean, if not us, maybe sometime in the future, our future generations will do that, or maybe they will suffer. because of us, because of our silence. Maybe they will suffer. They will think, I mean, what kind of people we have, what kind of I would say legacy they have got from us. So that's the reason, I think it's still necessary to talk. But I mean, since you are actually teaching journalism, I would need to know, what exactly you think the media literacy role is in mitigating the media manipulation part.
See, in the current environment, I find an intersectional relationship between the hate news and fake news. We have seen the fake news even causing lynching, especially of the minorities. We are trying to see a new laws coming down to fight uh, fake news, etc., which is needed of the hour. However, how it is going to be implemented, how it is going to be executed, is it going to be neutral?
Hmm.
That's a very important thing. Now, coming to the hate news, I think it is the health of the current establishment of the media. We have seen during the first lockdown period that how Z News, led by Sudhir Chaudhary, the DNA, Prime Time, 9, started using or started defining a new coinages like mask jihad, COVID jihad. This kind of terminologies really show how the media is using its power to manipulate the mentality of the audience.
Hmm.
Instead of coming in the same boat to fight against the common causes, we are being divided and ruled by the media. And the media has become more powerful than any other pillar in this democracies. I would not be in the position to comment that we need to control or regulate the media because that will backfire at my own comment. Because I believe in the freedom of press. Because the freedom of press is also the freedom of the writer, the freedom of the podcasters like us or
Hmm.
YouTubers. But
Hmm.
however, you require an autodidact or maybe a self schooling or self regulation before anything goes wrong. We somewhat, out of our ideal nature, still find some hope or maybe, gray light at the end of the tunnel. Because the government regulating the media is also a dangerous trend. 20th century is a witness to this.
Hmm.
Take the case of how China regulates the press freedom. We are becoming somewhat, you know, dictatorial nation. I hope I won't be arrested for this, but I am backed up by my facts.
Hmm.
Because, as I said, it's very important to censor your thoughts before even thinking about things.
Yeah.
Even if you take the case of uh, in 2022, the Sully deals and bully by cases,
Yeah.
where youngsters as young as 16, 18, 20 were auctioning the pictures of Muslim women, hundreds of Muslim women without their consent.
Hmm.
And in fact, I have even blogged my experience about the Clubhouse episode in which I whistleblowed an issue on Twitter. It went viral with 30 lakh views, where a group of youngsters were discussing that how Muslim girls are beautiful than Hindu girls using sexist and communal remarks.
Hmm.
And Delhi police came home and seized my cell phone. So somewhat I feel like I paid for the crime of whistleblowing. It is all over Google. You may just search about it. So somewhat I feel that Voltaire's quote is very relevant.
Hmm.
It is wrong to be right when everyone is wrong. And George Orwell's prediction of fascism is that we are seeing booths on our faces. You know, that's how we imagine fascism. We may not have a direct dictatorship as we have experienced during the emergency period, but there is a subtle form of emergency.
Hmm.
The right and the left belong to the same part of the body. You know, as of now, we see the right hand being used much than the left.
Hmm.
So there's no equity, and due to which this vacuum is filled by the manipulation of views, manipulation through judgments. The media trials are very high, despite of crores of cases pending in the Supreme Court and the High Court. You want to get a justice, just knock the doors of 9 o'clock primetime show. You get it
Mhm.
faster than judiciary. So this race among all the pillars shows that the media is not codependent on any of these pillars. In fact, they are the one who are running this particular pillar. And the next attack is social media because it individually empowers us,
Mhm.
right? In fact, through social media, you can fight fake news and hate news.
Mhm.
And regulation of social media, an absolute version of regulation of social media will backfire at our own preamble to the Indian Constitution. You know, so I have also reached a stage where, it is wrong to debate when things are going wrong. The debates are no more healthy. Like, if you remember when the Orkut was launched in India,
Yeah.
we never felt unsafe to talk about things,
Exactly.
whether be it a right wing or a left wing politics. Even the initial days of Facebook, you know, I never felt unsafe. Now there is a dangerous trend on social media. We see a lot of bots, we see a lot of manipulation of artificial intelligence of conversations on social media. We see a lot of organized teams identifying themselves as, you know, IT cell, etc., coming after voices for those who raise their noise.
Mhm.
So they want to create a very monopoly on the sound that they want us to hear. But as I said, you can't fool all the people all the time. But if we have reached a stage where we love being foolish than being intelligent, out of
Mhm.
choice.
So, you know, what you have just said is actually kind of triggered a question in my mind. Is like, of course, we are kind of suppressed in certain ways right now as like whole as a society. Do you think what exactly is happening in Manipur and what exactly is happening in Punjab is an outburst of that, or it's something else?
The issues in Punjab or the issues in Manipur are real. But looking at the sudden attack and attention given to these two states
Hmm.
by ignoring other important issues also tells a lot about the media circus manipulation. Uh, the government is trying to reset the conversations that it wants us to talk about. You know, uh, as you said that it is very easier to look at you as a Khalistani than as a Sikh. We have reached a point
Hmm.
where Walter Lippmann's thought that the role of the editor is to generalize, not to report the news, is coming true.
Hmm.
And generalization or maybe stereotyping helps the fascist tendencies of the media or the government.
Hmm.
These issues may have their own characteristics, they may have their own pros and cons, they may have their own sides in the spectrum. But giving undue attention and unchecked attention to only these two states tells a lot about the agenda of the media as well as the government.
Hmm.
You know, a journalist will sleep with the government over a bottle of whiskey.
Hmm.
We have seen sane voices like Ravish Kumar, who even authored this free voice,
Hmm.
being out of the system. You know, and there are many sane voices even in regional sphere who never get the representation.
Hmm.
So there is also a class differentiation between the English speaking journalism and the regional journalism.
Hmm.
And this division somewhat is also healthy for the fascist. When you talk about Manipur, there has been a violence.
Hmm.
The issue is कि आग किसने लगाई और उस आग की माचिस किसने दी is somewhat the media is not helping us to identify. That is why there are a lot of confusion in the views of the audience. Of course, there is a fixed notion from the right wing, and that tells a lot about how the media is reporting the story. Whenever we are watching a television or reading a news report, we need to look at the choice of words. We need to look at uh, the headlines. We need to look at the space given to a particular issue. We need, as an audience, which becomes passive while reading or watching, is an advantage to the media who wants to control us. There is an oligarchy between the government and the media. It can't be denied. You may check out the reports by Association by Democratic Reforms. It's a social initiative which wanting our democracy to become transparent and accountable. We don't see media talking about the corrupt politicians. We don't see about criminal MLAs or criminal MPs. You know, we are becoming what they are telling us to think about. So that's all I can say in this context.
Okay, I mean, that's quite insightful, I would say. I mean, you have actually explained it pretty well. Just before I will let you go, I would want, if you can tell me, do you see any hope of change in Indian media anytime soon, maybe in next 2 to 5 years?
See, everything is subjected to change. Nothing stays same. The current media system or the government believes that it is going to be the same. Once upon a time, even Adolf Hitler thought the same for Nazi Germany. But everything comes with an expiry date. Once upon a time, the overconfidence of Congress government was tackled in the 2014 election. The same way, we are going to meet the fate, but it's about a matter of time. It's about who is going to be more privileged than whom. We require a very neutral citizenship, holding both the sides or all the sides who are in this game to be responsible, to be accountable. That's how you make democracy healthier. I know it may sound very idealistic, but as a young person, I think just like you, we are all disappointed idealists. And when the idealists are disappointed, uh, we become a very unheard recipe, you know. And when we take it on ourselves, we are not able to identify whether we are idealists or freedom fighters. You know, the role of the media is to question the government, but here the media is questioning the citizens for their views. You know, this balancing act can be challenged through such podcast, through our writings, through literature, through questions, through community discussions. I think that's the need of the hour because it will also have a parallel effect on our fraternity at the same time. So there is always a light at the end of a tunnel. Hope is something that does not make our life meaningless, and there is no tax on hope, thankfully. So maybe we should continue to hope.
Absolutely, absolutely. I totally agree with you. So that's all. Actually, I would not take much of your time today. So thank you so much for joining us today, and hope we will continue our conversation on some other topic next time. Till then, thank you, and have a great day ahead.
You too. God bless you. Thank you.
Thanks.